¿Y un comal cuánto se vende un comal?
30 pesos.
Esto va a ser como un mediano?
Sí, un mediano.
Okay. So she's making a comal now, like a medium-sized comal sells for 30 pesos. So this is like a high-end product at 50 pesos, and the utilitarian stuff is 30 pesos. They won't pay more. I mean, the people who use these as utilitarian dishes are also poor and don't have money. I mean, this looks like this is somebody selling this in a store somewhere. I don't know, in Tlacolula, or I don't know if it's someone with an export business, but that's sort of a different market than the, you know, clay griddles and pots to cook your beans in.
Lynn, they also spend a lot of time just preparing the clay, so if you want to factor that in as well, because it all has to be screened.
Right.
And that's really labor intensive.
Yeah, well, that's why I think it's elusive when we say, oh, this amazing pot happens
In
like
2
5
minutes. No,
because there's a lot of prep that goes here, and then there's a lot of sort of after, you know, by the time you get it fired and everything, it's over 4 or 5 days.
Would you agree that nowhere in the world is the clay really, pottery really valued?
I think handcrafts share the same burden, you know, time versus, you know, monetary reward. I mean, that is in every craft.
Yes.
Well, it's great that we have some potters.
Lori's, I guarantee you she's dying.
You know, and the interesting thing about that whole sort of universal thing about clay is you have water, you have earth, you have fire. I mean, it's all of the elements.
And you have
air.
And actually, those are the 4 sacred elements.
Yes, and it's all
a lot
within
of
this.
indigenous cosmologies, including the Zapotec. So I'm really glad you said that, because I always comment that this sort of embodies, you know,
the world.
all of those forces.
Yep.
Yeah. Earth, water, fire,
and air.
And air.
Yeah.
And then,
And a lot of those elements, even in the Zapotec designs, you'll see, you know, references to those. And so I think it's interesting how cosmology and religion are just woven into, you know, the work and the craft.
Right.
And I don't think people are thinking like, oh, and now I'm working with it, you know, but there is a unity there.
Well, it's the connection as well.
Okay. Yeah, it's leather now. So to make the comal, she's going to really flatten the same shape out.
Constantino is over here willing to talk to two teachers who are interested in his migration story. Do you want to have them wait, or have you go now? Might be ready?
I think we're probably a few minutes away from some kind of little transition, so that there's a few people who want to try the clay. And then, but I mean, if there's Spanish speakers, they can just talk to him.
Yeah.
And again, if you go back to some of the codices that I'm sure you have looked at, if you go back and look for some of these things like comals, like the ollas, you know, you'll see some of these shapes. In those documents. I mentioned I'm working on I'm teaching a new class next year on the anthropology of chocolate, so I've been collecting all of these images, not only that have, you know, pottery and different things that have cacao pods and beans and chocolate, but also vessels for chocolate.